Oh, the camera's here. Okay. Well, we were just talking as you arrived. We are here still at Gettysburg. We are actually on the Little Round Top. This is a monument here to the 16th Michigan Infantry, one of the divisions that held this spot. Of course, it's probably most famous for the main brigade that was here, led by Chamberlain and his men in his famous defense and counterattack. But we were just talking strategically about this location and about the tactics that were employed on the second day of the battle. So, class, what do you think about the wisdom of trying to defend this particular location, the strategy, the way things looked on the second day of the battle? What constitutes, who's winning? Is the Confederate side winning or the Union side?
Up until this point, I think that Lee believes he is winning. And I think that if he could have gotten up top of this hill where we're standing right now, that they could have taken the battle, I should say. But personally, in my opinion, I think up until about midday, Meade is actually maybe not losing the war, but he's holding his ground, which isn't exactly winning, but it's not exactly losing at the same time. So, no, Lee is not winning, but he is making progress slowly.
It's more like a draw, since Meade's standing here, but holding off the Confederates, but the Confederates is moving up. So I say it's more like a draw.
The Confederates had more land, but Meade had better land.
Yeah, the value of the land. It's the high ground that's the most strategic thing to note here. Like,
and he was able to hold it.
The valley below, definitely. Lee might have been gaining on him, but he was definitely maintaining the high ground.
I would liken it to a football game where you have two football teams on the field, right? And the defensive team, the team that's in the lead and the clock is running out, they're just trying to stop the other team from scoring a touchdown, right? The other team, they may be gaining yardage with each pass, gaining more and more yardage, right? But the way the Union looks at it, as long as they don't get into the end zone, then that yardage doesn't matter. From Lee's point of view, the way you score a touchdown is keep advancing the ball. You get closer, you get closer, you get closer, and then eventually you take the mountain and you'll take it. So different perspective. So what Meade does is he wants to hold this ground, and he has his forces, they have been pushed back and basically compressed here in Gettysburg. They've lost most of the town below to the Confederate forces. And so Lee thinks of it as I have them pinned down here. But this is exactly where Meade wants to be, right? He doesn't feel I'm trapped here. I'm holding the high ground, which is where I want to be, right? And so positions are reversed. Through most of the war, most of the fighting in Virginia, the Confederate side has had the home court advantage. They've had the high ground, and the Union forces have been on the attack. Now he likes where we have the high ground, and that's why when you see the high ground, this is what it means. These boulders and rocks were right where they were in 1863, and imagine soldiers trying to come up this hill and attack and come out in the open, and you have soldiers, rifles, cover, you have some cannon fire, and you could pour all that down onto the opposing forces. This is one reason why the casualties are so high. Gettysburg is the bloodiest battle of the Civil War, over 50,000 casualties, men killed or injured or missing at the end of this battle, and this is because of the kind of charges that are required to try to take positions like this. The other question we were talking about is the ultimate goal for Lee of having this kind of fishhook, the importance of this particular mountain. It was a part of a defensive line that went all the way up, as we'll see later, the other positions that ended right here. And so if he could outflank them to get around them or behind them, if they could take this position, it was crucial. But General Sickles was ordered by me to hold this position, the end of his line here. And he disobeyed orders and moved his forces further down into the valley around Devil's Den, that conglomeration of big rocks down there, and the peach orchard, which is no longer there, but they're restoring it and replanting peaches the way it would have looked in 1863. Of course, remember, the battle took place in the summer of 1863, from July 1st, 2nd, and 3rd. And so he moves his forces down, which he thinks is a more advanced position, but by disobeying orders leaves this little mountaintop basically defenseless, right? And so what do we think about Sickles' strategy, which turns out to be pretty much of a bloodbath, as you read, the Carnage in Devil's Den and the Peach Orchard, two positions that he can't hold. What do you think about the wisdom of vacating this fortress to go down there?
You can't really see that much down there, probably. It's mostly a valley. No hills, really.
I think his hope was to take control of Devil's Den down there, and if he could have had that and keep some of his men up here, that they could have had wide control of them, because those are the last two highest points for miles, as you can see.
Yeah, well, I think when you look beyond that, there's open field. Those trees probably weren't there. They look like they've grown up, within the last 190 years. So he might have thought, if we're there and closer, they have an open position, they have to come across that field, and we could better attack them. And if we lose, we could always retreat back to this position, right? This again is the two different mindsets, whether it's better to attack or defend, whether it's better to be compact or spread out. So obviously Sickles, under the impression, always claim land, right? If there's land there that the enemy doesn't hold yet, expand out.
Yeah, why stay right here and wait for them to come all the way up if he could get a little further out there? It's easy to see where they were coming across the ridges over there. Get a little closer. Why wait for them to come all the way up?
Right, sure. The other thing, though, that's dangerous about that is you're spreading your line thinner and thinner. The more land that your men have to defend, right, the thinner they have to be spread, right?
But the North didn't have as much land.
They didn't have as much land, and eventually they'll have as many forces, right? But this is the second day still, right? And so Meade's view is keep them compact, right? And then you could have more of a defensive position.
You want to be on the offense while staying defensive, basically. And I think that's what his whole plan was to do.
Well, this is what Chamberlain does. Once he is hurriedly put here with his main men, he holds this position until near the end of the day when he's running low on ammunition. So this is a good position to hold, but he's running low on ammunition, and Lee is pouring forces in by the thousands, right? So it may seem intimidating at first, but the men just keep coming. You're shooting them down, you're mowing them down, they just keep coming. One regiment after another. And so Chamberlain, and as you might have saw from the movie Gettysburg, he orders a maneuver to go on the offensive, because he feels you only have two choices if you're low on ammunition. Either you have to retreat to a safer place and let them have the hill, or you have to go on the offense and push them back, right? But you can't just hold it and just keep shooting them as they come. You either have to push them back, or you have to retreat from this spot. So he orders an unusual flanking maneuver and attack, where his left wing over here, if he's holding this mountain, this kind of little round top, the left flank began to attack from this side. And so if you're a soldier approaching, you have fire coming at you from the front and from the side, right? And that's very disorienting, and you don't know how many more soldiers there are, and that puts them on their heels, and they do retreat. And so so they hold this ground for the second day as well. Okay.